I enjoy listening to music. I enjoy playing music on my ukulele. At 11 years old, Rain Brown earned $60,000 per year on reality TV. She was the star everyone loved. But the fame came with a dark price. Her father controlled everything. Her mother nearly died from cancer. Rain developed bipolar disorder and was hospitalized multiple times. After the show ended in 2022, she tried to start over. Instead, she was arrested for breaking into her husband's uncle's house. The stolen items included guns, gold, and $75,000 in cash. America's sweetheart had become a criminal suspect. Rain Brown was born on November 23, 2002 in a cold, quiet place called Hoona, Alaska. Her full name was Merry Christmas, Catherine Raindrop Brown. She came into the world as the youngest of 7 children, and her family was already living far away from normal life. There were no lights, no heating, no running water, just snow, storms, and silence. Sometimes the temperature dropped to -30. When that happened, the whole family had to sleep close together just to stay alive. By the time Rain turned 2, she already faced dangers that most people can't imagine. Bears walked through the forests where her family picked berries and hunted fish by hand. There were no hospitals nearby. In 2004, someone in the family got seriously sick and they had no way to get help. Rain's name came from a storm on Christmas Eve. That storm hit while her mother was pregnant, and it seemed to match the strange and wild life they were living. Their little cabin on Chichoff Island was only about 400 square feet. It was more like a shelter than a home. Rain had to learn which plants could kill her just by touching them. She actually avoided poisoning once when she was just a year old. There were no toys, no friends outside the family, just snow, silence, and survival. Even as a baby, Rain lived a life most grown-ups would find terrifying. Her family kept moving, never staying in one place too long. Sometimes they walked 50 miles through frozen woods just to find better shelter. In 2005, when she was only 3, Rain learned to catch salmon with handmade spears in freezing rivers. The water was so cold, it could cause frostbite in minutes. In 2006, a landslide crushed their shelter. They had to sleep outside under tarps while the sun never set. Without cars, they dragged their belongings across the snow. Sometimes they carried 200 pounds of supplies. In 2007, wolves got too close. Rain watched as her family used fire to keep them away. She also started building fires in deep snow at just 4 years old. That was her education. Nature was her teacher. By 2007, at age 5, Rain wasn't just watching the adults. She was working beside them. She chopped wood with a small axe. Even while blizzards dropped 10 feet of snow, her hands would go numb, but she kept going. The family had about 20 animals, and Rain helped feed them all. One time, she found a baby goat buried in a 15-foot snow pile and dug it out alone. Their water came from frozen streams, and Rain had to carry 5-gallon buckets. In 2008, she slipped on the ice and broke a bone. There was no hospital. No one treated her for days. Their shelters weren't real homes. Some were just tarps over dirt. Wind would slam into them at 60 miles per hour. In those freezing nights, she learned to skin fish and prepare meals like an adult. Rain was very close to her siblings, especially her sister Snowbird, who was born in 1994 and acted like a second mom. They all shared one small room, sometimes even one bed. They learned how to survive by memorizing things from books they found or from nature itself. By 2008, Rain could name over 50 plants that were safe to eat. Once during a snow game, she and Snowbird got trapped when their snow fort collapsed. It took hours for their family to find them. In 2009, Rain accidentally ate a toxic berry during a lesson on foraging. She got very sick, but there were no doctors. Still, through all this, the family stuck together. They had to. Every day was a fight to stay alive. In 2009, something big changed. A powerful storm destroyed their camp on Chichoff Island, and the Browns had no choice but to move to Juneau. It was the first time Rain saw electricity or real roads. She was 7 and completely shocked. She hid from strangers because cars and lights scared her more than wild animals. The move wasn't just for comfort. Amy, her mother, had health problems and needed to be closer to a hospital. Sometimes the boat ride to the nearest doctor took 12 hours through rough water. Their new apartment in Juneau was tiny and loud. The city sounds kept Rain awake at night. She started meeting people at small events, but it was hard. Her father, Billy's legal troubles in 2010, made things even more stressful. Rain always looked up to her father. Billy was the leader of their family, and Rain thought of him as strong and unbreakable. In 2010, when she was 8, she started going with him on real hunting trips. She learned to hold rifles and shotguns and how to track big animals like moose and bears. Some people said it was wrong to let a child do that, but to Rain, it was just life. Her father once gave her a ukulele during those tough years, and it became something special to her. In 2011, a hunting trip went wrong, and the family got stuck for days. It was dangerous, but Rain never stopped admiring him. Even after he passed away in February 2021, her memories of him stayed strong. Amy, her mother, made sure Rain wasn't just learning survival. By 2007, she started homeschooling Rain using the Bible and old books. By age 7, Rain could sew her own clothes from animal skins. She made coats and pants from bear hides using simple tools. In 2009, she had already memorized 50 psalms. The family didn't have money for school supplies, so everything had to come from nature or donated books. After Amy got sick in 2017 with cancer, those lessons became even more about staying strong. In 2021, after Billy died, Rain went through a very hard time, but her mother's lessons helped her keep going. By 2011, Rain's family had almost no money left. They had to move on to a boat called the Integrity, which Billy bought for $20,000. The boat was cold and small, but it floated. Rain learned to steer it through icy waters. Once, in 2012, a storm almost flipped it over while they were sleeping. They had nothing but fish and berries to eat. She even took control of the boat, years later, in 2020. But back then, it was just another struggle. Before they ever got on TV, they were evicted from cabins for not paying rent. Then suddenly, in 2017, they were living in a Beverly Hills mansion because of Amy's cancer treatment. That change was so fast, it made Rain feel lost. Her depression got worse. Rain didn't have many friends. Before the TV show started in 2014, she only met other people a few times a year. But she loved stories. She filled notebooks with drawings and tales about her life, about animals, her siblings, and the forest. By 2013, she had written over 200 pages. Nancy Drew books were her favorite. She read 30 of them by the time she turned 10. That helped her escape the silence and loneliness. In 2013, their home burned down in a wildfire. Rain wrote everything down, using her journals to process the pain. That same year, something unexpected happened. A few bush pilots and fishermen told producers from the Discovery Channel about the Brown family. Rain was 11 when they showed up. At first, the producers just wanted to see how they lived. They secretly filmed the family building shelters and hunting. The Browns didn't even know cameras were rolling. Some locals later said the family wasn't as isolated as they claimed, but the producers didn't care. They loved how Rain looked on camera. She was sweet, wild, and full of life. The producers thought she would be perfect for TV. In January 2014, filming began. Rain was still just 11 when she appeared in the first test episodes. She showed off her survival skills and helped build cabins. But not everything was real. Some scenes were staged like a fake bear encounter, though Rain didn't know it wasn't real. Her eyes lit up on screen, and producers gave her more lines. Behind the scenes, the family slept in hotels, which caused more questions about how real the show really was. But Rain gave the show its heart. When the first episode aired on May 6, 2014, 1.8 million people watched. She became famous overnight. Then in March 2014, the Browns signed a deal with Discovery. Rain was still only 11 when she signed child actor papers. Her first paycheck was between $8,000 and $15,000 per episode. She could now earn over $60,000 a year. Her family had once struggled to buy food, and now they were getting rich. But with money came problems. People started looking into Billy's past, even finding out he once went to jail in the 1980s. The contract also said they had to act out certain scenes, which made everything feel blurry between real life and show life. During the spring of 2014, Rain had to go through media training. She was brought to Seattle for 2 weeks and taught how to speak in interviews, how to smile, and how to repeat stories about her family. She practiced 8 hours a day. Sometimes she cried from homesickness. She had to pretend they never used electricity or hotels, even when they did. But she pushed through. By the end of April, she was ready for the cameras. She was no longer just a wilderness child. She had become the face of a show watched by millions. Rain Brown first appeared on TV in May 2014. She was just 11 years old and the youngest star of Alaskan Bush People. Viewers quickly fell in love with her energy and big smile. On screen, she was building cabins, dragging heavy logs, and learning how to guide dogs through the snow. People called her Bush Barbie, and by the end of the year, she already had 15,000 fans online. But what no one knew then was that her family was hiding a huge secret. Her father, Billy, had taken almost $21,000 in oil money from Alaska, even though they weren't living there anymore. In June 2014, the state filed charges against him. While Rain was laughing and playing in front of the cameras, court documents were showing that her family had faked papers and lied about where they lived. Some crew members later said the family stayed in hotels even though the show made it seem like they lived deep in the wild. By 2015, Rain was 12 and already leading adventures on the show. In one episode, she was catching animals and gathering supplies all on her own. She started getting fan letters, over 2,000 of them, and her followers grew to 55,000. But the trouble at home wasn't going away. That January, Billy and her brother Bom Bom were both found guilty and fined. They even had to move to Hawaii for a while. Paparazzi started following them there, and Rain had to deal with strangers coming too close to their home. But she kept smiling, saying, "Adventure is out there, even when things were hard behind the scenes. The show faked a bear attack that year, which crew members later admitted was completely staged. That summer, Rain took a big step forward. In July 2015, she started doing voiceovers for the show's ads. She was only 12, but her voice was being heard in homes across America. Some of the lines she added herself, like "family sticks together," became catchy. Her followers hit 70,000, and fans even started drawing pictures of her. But while she was recording those happy lines, her dad was in court again. In October 2015, he was sentenced to community service. Rain was there for some of it. In a tweet she later deleted, she said it was scary. Meanwhile, she was filming scenes again and again, sometimes doing 15 takes just to get one right. Her face started appearing on t-shirts and they sold over 5,000 by the end of the year. In 2016, Rain was 13 and filming scenes in freezing weather. In one episode, she built snow shelters and tried to survive in fake blizzard conditions. Her hands went numb, and she later talked about how close she came to frostbite. Even while freezing, she learned archery and hit targets from 50 yards away. But things got even harder when her dad and brother had to serve 30 days in jail that January. Rain had to film her parts alone while they were gone. That same year, she got to attend the Alaska Fan Expo. 5,000 people came. She signed over 1,000 autographs and showed how she trained dogs using props. The video of her demo went viral, hitting 200,000 views. But behind all the cheering, the family was facing eviction because of permit violations at their Browntown home. And her mom, Amy, had just started dealing with health problems that would later turn out to be cancer. In 2017 and 2018, Rain appeared in over 20 episodes. She was now 15 and playing a bigger role in the family. That year, her mom was diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer. It nearly stopped the entire show, but Rain helped lead the family's move to Washington State. One special episode showing this move brought in 4.5 million viewers, the highest yet. She was becoming the emotional center of the show, but privately she was struggling. She later said she was dealing with anxiety, arguments inside the family, and feeling completely alone. The pressure was building. In 2018, Rain's acting was raw and real. In scenes about her mom's cancer fight, she cried openly. She talked about being scared of losing both her parents. Her honesty got her nominated for a Teen Choice Award, but that year also brought darkness. She collapsed from exhaustion during filming, and the show revealed they were $500,000 in medical debt. She started dealing with depression and panic attacks. Some viewers began to see past the show's edits and started asking if Rain was okay. In 2019, Rain directed her own behind-the-scenes short film for Discovery's website. She was only 16. It was called Rain's Wilderness Diary, and it shocked fans. It showed family fights, money problems, and the truth behind their new home. The film got 1.2 million views in the first week, but it came at a time when she was struggling again. Her father's hidden health issues were weighing on her. She was trying to be strong, but it was all becoming too much. That same year, Season 10 showed Rain going on her own dangerous adventures. In one episode, she explored deep abandoned mines without safety gear. Fans loved it, and Discovery even thought about giving her a spin-off show, but budget cuts got in the way. On the outside, she looked fearless, but inside she was battling panic attacks so intense that one day she needed medical help. Her fans raised $50,000 for wilderness charities in her name, and her follower count passed 300,000. In 2020 and 2021, COVID changed everything. Filming was stopped. Crew members got sick. The family had to stay on their ranch. Rain started filming vlogs herself, showing daily life. It brought in more viewers, but her life was getting harder. She was still homeschooling, helping her mom recover, and now her own mental health was breaking down. In November 2020, she was hospitalized for 2 weeks and diagnosed with bipolar disorder. But instead of hiding it, she turned it into strength. She pushed for mental health to become part of the show. Episodes aired in 2021, showing these honest talks. Viewers connected deeply. In 2021, Rain took on even more. She was now 18 and starting to act like a producer, suggesting new episode ideas. Ratings had dropped 20% after Billy Brown had a seizure on the show. Rain pushed to include her own mental health journey. One episode showed her talking about her bipolar diagnosis and her 10-day stay in the hospital. It helped raise ratings by 25%. That same year, she got in trouble with the law. She was caught with alcohol and fined $500. On Instagram, she called it a wake-up call. She also launched a YouTube channel that got 50,000 subscribers quickly. But the hardest part of 2021 was losing her dad. Billy Brown died on February 7, 2021 from a seizure. Rain said it felt like a part of her had died, too. She led the tributes on the show and began going to counseling. After her father's death, Rain opened up even more. In a live video that March, she talked about having suicidal thoughts. Over 100,000 people watched. Ratings rose 30% as people connected to her pain. She began working with mental health charities, raising $10,000. She also had to manage 200 acres of land on her own after her siblings left. In 2022, things got worse. She was fined $2,000 for fraud related to her father's estate. That same year, she relapsed and spent 3 weeks in treatment. Her 2025 interview shocked everyone when she said her father's control had made her mental health worse. Still, she kept going even when fans started questioning the show's truth. Rain ended her journey with the show by narrating the final episode on December 18, 2022. She looked back on all 140 episodes and the 20 million people who had watched her grow up. But in January 2022, she had another major bipolar episode. It shut down filming for a month and cost $500,000. She had to go through electroconvulsive therapy. In the final scene, her voice cracked as she talked about her father. She said she had panic attacks every day for 6 months after his death. But her story didn't end there. She started working on a documentary about mental health, which got nominated for an Emmy in 2023. Then in 2024, court records showed she had been arrested for drunk driving. She served 30 days of community service. In one final moment of honesty, she admitted that nearly half of the wilderness scenes people loved had been filmed in studios. Fans were heartbroken, but her bravery won them back. Through it all, Rain Brown had grown from a little girl in the snow to a woman who never stopped fighting. After the TV show Alaskan Bush People ended in 2022, Rain Brown tried something new. She was only 19 when she launched a YouTube channel teaching survival tips based on the skills her family used in the wild. Her first video came out in June 2022, showing how to build shelters from tree bark and clean dirty water using simple tools. It reminded people of an older 2016 video